What's up, guys? Welcome back to Uncut Hoops, and today I'm going to be talking about 5 teams everyone is sleeping on. And at number 5, we have the Chicago Bulls. So the Bulls' 2018-19 season was not very impressive. They went 22-60, and they were ranked 13th in the East. But this year, I actually believe the Bulls are able to take the next step and possibly fight for the 8th seed. Now, if you didn't know, Otto Porter is a member of the Bulls now. He got traded from Washington with about 20 games left in the season. And in those 20 games, he was able to average 18 points per game. And I know Otto Porter, many of you think, oh, he's overpaid, he's overrated. And yeah, I'll kind of agree with that. But he's a solid player that the Bulls really need just to give them output every night over an 82-game season. And the Bulls also had 2 underrated pickups this offseason in Thaddeus Young and Thomas Satoransky. Now, Satoransky is a scrappy point guard for the Wizards last year, and I believe he can bring some veteran presence to this Bulls team. And Thad Young, he's always a solid guy. He has playoff experience, something this Bulls team really lacks. So that's a great positive bringing that to the Bulls team. Also, the Bulls still have Chris Dunn, and he can be used as trade bait to maybe bring in another player. So I think that's very valuable for the Bulls. Also, the Bulls draft this year I thought was very impressive. They got Kobe White from North Carolina, and I watch a lot of UNC and Duke games, and Kobe White, he is the real deal. He started off the bench, and he really came into prominence, and he was UNC's number 1 option down the stretch. And the sleeper pick they have in the draft was Daniel Gafford out of Arkansas. This dude is long, lanky, he's kind of like a rim protector. I don't want to say he's like Jared Allen, but he has some of the similar traits, being a shot blocker and like a rim runner. I think those 2 players can have a huge impact this year. And the Bulls picked last year Wendell Carter. He missed about 40 games, but in those 40 games he played, he was able to average 10 and 7, battling through injuries. And I think Wendell Carter is ready to take the next step. And similar to Wendell Carter, Zach LaVine and Lauri Markkanen, they're going to have to take the next step and kind of become all-star contenders and fight for all-star spots. Zach LaVine and Markkanen, they already talked about how they have to win to make all-star team, and that's one of their main goals. Both of them haven't made the playoffs in their career ever, so that's really a big goal for this Bulls team. I think they are motivated to take the next step. They have veteran leaders in the locker room. They have Zach LaVine as their number 1 guy, and I think this Bulls team is really getting slept on by a lot of people. I don't hear anyone talking about them for the 8th seed or the 7th seed in the East, and I think that's really being slept on. I think Zach LaVine's going to have a breakout season this year, averaging maybe about 25 points per game. And I think he'll really prove that these past few seasons he wasn't putting up just empty stats on the Bulls. He's actually a really solid player, like many of you already know. At number 4, we have the Boston Celtics. And I know many of you may be thinking, oh, the Boston Celtics, they're not being slept on. Everyone has them as like the 3 seed or the 4 seed. But I'm telling you, the Boston Celtics are being slept on. They did get Kemba Walker and Enes Kanter this offseason, while losing Kyrie Irving and Al Horford. And that is a slight drawback to the offseason. They did kind of get worse. But they also have good rookies like Romeo Langford and Grant Williams coming in. And I think they'll have minimal contribution. But I think this Celtics team, just getting rid of kind of the cancer and Kyrie Irving, they're going to be much better chemistry-wise. Jason Tatum will take the next step, hopefully, kind of like Zach LaVine and Markkanen, and kind of compete for an all-star spot, like I believe he can. Also, Jaylen Brown in a contract year, trying to work for that extension and get the Jamal Murray or even the Karis LeVert money. I think they have a lot of players motivated. Gordon Hayward had an average at best season last year, so I think he's really coming back. He has experience on his leg. I mean, it's just going to get better and better for Hayward as the season goes on. More experience, more wear and tear, and he'll just get used to the NBA again. Also, I mean, look at the big man presence. They have Robert Williams from last year, who really didn't get much run behind Al Horford and Aaron Baines. I think Robert Williams is a really slept-on player. He's a great rim protector, a big guy, athletic. I think he can have a huge role for the Celtics. And I already touched on Enes Kanter off the bench. Enes Kanter is not known for his defense, but I think in Boston, Brad Stevens can kind of instill that into him, and he can play some defense throughout the season. As a Celtics fan myself, the Celtics always seem to do great when the odds are against them or when everyone's counting them out. And I think people have already looked at the Eastern Conference, said it's a 2-man race, the Bucks and 76ers. But all I'm here to say is, don't be surprised if the Boston Celtics sneak into the Eastern Conference Finals. I'm not saying it will happen, but I'm just saying don't be surprised. Many people are sleeping on this team, and I think it's wrong to do so. I think the Celtics are legit contenders in the Eastern Conference. At number 3, we have the Golden State Warriors, and similar to the Celtics, everyone kind of has them in the playoff picture, but no one's really taking them seriously as contenders, seeing as they lost Klay Thompson due to injury, Kevin Durant due to free agency, Sean Livingston to retirement, and Andre Iguodala to whatever happened with him in Memphis. So, I mean, the Warriors, they are a playoff team, but I don't think anyone's really taking them seriously, and they're kind of sleeping on Steph Curry and D'Angelo Russell. I like what the Warriors did this offseason by kind of retooling, putting D'Angelo as the 2-man to Curry. I liked Willie Cauley-Stein. I think that was one of the best pickups. They need a rim protector, and that was pretty evident in the first preseason game against the Lakers. Anthony Davis just abused the Warriors because they really didn't have any center, and they still have Draymond Green, a great veteran presence, who I think had kind of revitalized his career last year. He lost a bunch of weight mid-season. I think Draymond's looking to prove we can win without Kevin Durant, and he's been very vocal about that last year, saying, "Oh, we don't need you to win. We won before you." I think the Warriors, they are highly motivated to win without Kevin Durant and just win in general. I mean, they're not trying to end the dynasty after, 4 or 5 years. They want to keep this thing going. And they still have head coach Steve Kerr, Bob Myers in the front office. I mean, this team is still a championship caliber team and a championship caliber organization. So I think it's wrong for anyone to write them off as saying they can't win another championship. And I have a really suspicious feeling the Warriors are going to be in the mix, maybe making the Western Conference Finals. And I think they're really similar to the Boston Celtics in that way, that no one really has the Warriors going to the conference finals. They think it's a two-man race between the Clippers and Lakers. But don't be surprised if Steph Curry kind of pulls off that 2016, 2015 Curry, and he takes the Warriors on a magical run to the conference finals or even the NBA finals. Don't be surprised if it happens. At number 2, we have the Oklahoma City Thunder. And similar to the Warriors, they lost a lot of players due to trade, but not known to many people, they actually got back a lot of solid pieces. They have Chris Paul, they still have Steven Adams, Danilo Gallinari, a solid player for the Clippers last year, and a big contributor in the playoffs. They still have Dennis Schroeder as the backup point guard, and Schroeder, he's solid, but he's inconsistent a lot of times. Andre Robertson will finally be back to basketball after he's been dealing with so many injuries over the past few years. And an underrated pickup, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, one of the brightest point guards in the league. I mean, people don't understand how good SGA is. And I think SGA, in my opinion, he reminds me of a very young, very raw Penny Hardaway. Just how athletic he is and how long he is and what he can do on the basketball court. I think SGA has a chance to break out this year, kind of surprise a lot of people, and it's a great thing for SGA to learn under Chris Paul, one of the greatest point guards to ever play the game. And just looking at the Thunder's depth, they still have Terrence Ferguson as a good player, Nerlens Noel on like a $2 million deal, Mike Muscala can stretch the floor. So I think this Thunder team has kind of been written off as they're one of the bottom feeders in the West, but I think Chris Paul is highly motivated after last year. This is probably his worst season ever since like his early days in New Orleans, and all of his stats across the board went down. I think Chris Paul, being called one of the most overrated players in the league because he's getting paid $38 million, I think Chris Paul is going to come out super motivated this year and really looking to surprise people in the West. I don't know if they'll make the playoffs, but I think people are really sleeping on the Thunder just to be a solid, you got to take them serious team that has veteran leaders and solid players across the board. At number 1, we do have the New York Knicks. And after going 17-65, you may be asking yourself, well, we should be sleeping on the Knicks. They're absolutely god-awful. And I know the Knicks were kind of the clown of the offseason. They lost out on Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. But I mean, they did have to settle for some really solid players. And overall, their roster did improve. I don't care how much of a laughingstock you think the Knicks are. They do have a solid roster, and many people aren't taking note of that just because they missed out on Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant. And just because they missed out on 2 superstars, that doesn't mean they're not a good basketball team. And if you look at top to bottom, this team is really talented. They still have Frank Ntilikina, who, I mean, he played good in France against the USA team, and that was kind of a meme. And they have Dennis Smith Jr., a solid point guard, Damon Dotson, another solid player, Kevin Knox, a rising rookie, Mitchell Robinson, a player who's looking to break out this year, maybe win Most Improved, I don't know. He really looked good in the Summer League. He looked like he belonged and looked like he was dominant. Alonzo Trier, sneaky handles, underrated draft pick. RJ Barrett, I think he can really impress this year. And my favorite player of the draft and the favorite player in Summer League to watch, Ignas Brazdeikis. I mean, that dude was absolutely going off. That's a guy you need to watch out for in the future. Maybe not this year because the Knicks roster is so deep. But I mean, Ignas, I think he's going to be a really good player. He's really good at Michigan if you watch college basketball. I think he'll be a solid piece for the Knicks. He may play in the G League a little, but I think he's a solid player. And then the big guy they got this year, who I think can be an all-star this year, is Julius Randle. People don't understand how good Julius Randle is, and he's kind of evolved himself. His body has changed. He's taken the game really seriously. And as I said before, I think he can be an all-star in the NBA. And I think he can be a 20-10 guy for the Knicks at the very least. And looking at the Knicks' veteran presence, they have Taj Gibson, a solid veteran who last year played in the Timberwolves, Bobby Portis, who did really good last year for the Bulls, Wayne Ellington, a solid shooter, and then Elfrid Payton, another solid point guard, and my favorite player, Marcus Morris, who is just an absolute dog for the Celtics. And when he's on, he is on, and when he's off, he's really off. But I mean, Marcus Morris is another solid guy. And you saw Marcus, he doesn't take any crap. I mean, you saw him hit the ball off, I think it was Justin Anderson's head. In the preseason, he's taking it that seriously, and he's trying to show everyone the Knicks are not a laughingstock. And I actually agree with him. The Knicks should not be a laughingstock. Even if they missed on the 2 free agents who are marquee players, I think this Knicks team, top to bottom, is still really good. Mitchell Robinson, Alonzo Trier, Kevin Knox, Dennis Smith, Marcus Morris, Taj Gibson, and Julius Randle. Why can this team not make the playoffs? Why can this team not be fighting for that 8 or 7 seed? I don't understand why they can't be. I mean, RJ Barrett, who was widely regarded as the best player in the country before the college season, I mean, that's an underrated pickup in my opinion, how no one's really talking about RJ and how good he can be in the NBA. Could he be better than Zion or even John Morant? I mean, honestly, I think he could be. They call him the Maple Mamba, I think that's his nickname, and that could be a curse, kind of like Andrew Wiggins. But I mean, RJ Barrett, I think he's still a solid player, and everyone's kind of getting caught up in the Zion hype, and no one's really talking about RJ Barrett or the New York Knicks. And kind of going off that, the reason I didn't have the Pelicans in this is because I think everyone kind of knows the Pelicans are a solid team with a lot of good young players, and also the Sacramento Kings. I think people are still aware how good the Kings were. They almost made the playoffs last year, and the last team I'll mention is the Dallas Mavericks. Everyone kind of knows how good the Mavs, the Pelicans, and even the Kings are or can be. I don't think people know how good this Knicks team can be. I really don't know how good the Knicks are, so we'll have to wait and see in the regular season. And just wrapping this video up to refresh, my top 5 sleeper teams: the Chicago Bulls, the Boston Celtics, the Oklahoma City Thunder, the Golden State Warriors, and the New York Knicks. Thank you guys for watching. If you thought I forgot any teams who were sleeper teams, maybe the Atlanta Hawks, the Detroit Pistons, even maybe the Phoenix Suns, maybe you thought I was sleeping on the Suns, let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video, share it, and thanks for watching Uncut Hoops. I'll see you guys next Wednesday.